Hey you guys, welcome to the Dope Science Show. Isn't it cool? We have video. You guys have like never seen me. No, you've probably seen me, but still. Welcome back, you guys. I'm sorry I've been gone forever, but I've been doing like some interesting new things with my life, being artistic and trying to explore my creative endeavors in film and television. And I had this really cool opportunity to be a production assistant on a couple of short films in March. And one of them I was really excited about. It's a film called The Divinity Streak. And that's really what got my attention. I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds so cool. It's like a sci fi, really interesting black activist film. And I was like, I definitely want to be a part of this. So it was my first time on set. I got a chance to work on that film and do the props. And I got a chance to meet Jess. And hello, Jess.
Hi, everyone.
I had a chance to meet Jess. Jess is the writer and creator of the short film The Divinity Streak. You guys can check it out on YouTube on the Netflix Film Club channel. I'll put it all in the links. But I really wanted to follow up with Jess. I met her on set and she was super cool. And I wanted to follow up and just find out more about like her process, who they were, who they were. I'm struggling sometimes with pronouns, but they're very important. So who they were, and just more about Jess and Divinity Streak. Hello, Jess. Thank you for coming to
Hi.
the show.
Of course, yes. Yeah, so I was really like thrilled that you were able to be a PA on the short because for me, this was actually my first on-set experience. So I
Oh,
was
me too.
learning as hopefully like you were learning. So it was just like, whoa, like this is cool, but I have to focus. But it's been great.
Yes, I didn't know that was your first time on set as well. Oh, that's really special. That's really cool. Just like me. So you were
Yeah.
your first. Was this your first film?
This is not my first film, but my biggest budget, so biggest distribution, of course. So that was kind of a big deal for me.
Yes, definitely. Well, the audience, I think you're like, who's Jess? Jess is super awesome. Jess, how did you get to make this film? Like, what was the backstory? Let the audience know a little bit more about you. Like, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Cleveland. I went to college also in Ohio. Moved out here to be a writer. Like that's what I wanted to do. That's what people do. And for the first few years I was out here, not a ton was happening, basically. Hence how I fell into working for film competitions. And then I signed up to be on the Ghetto Film School roster, which they basically just send out a bunch of information, potential jobs, programs that they're doing. And I'd been signed up for that roster for 4 years, basically. I never like really I read through it all, but I never felt like I was ready or like had the background to do any of the things they did until this project came up essentially. And so the whole thing was basically, write about or come up with a concept that reflects like 2020. However you feel, however you feel about that, do that. And so that's sort of I wrote like a pitch deck essentially in 10 minutes maybe. It was just like, okay, like this is exactly how I feel. Like I don't know, I just like want to do that. So like I just did it and then we got selected, 10 finalists were selected, and then we pitched to Netflix. And a day later they were like, okay, cool, like you won. And I was really shocked, to be honest, by it. So it was like super rapid. I felt super unprepared for the pitch. I felt like I was like just rambling or something, and didn't know if they got it, but I guess they did, or they saw something meaningful from it, which is obviously important.
That's awesome. I just want to go back a little bit on what you were saying. So you moved out here from Cleveland,
Hmm.
and then you decided, all right, I'm going to be a writer. Like you were focused on that goal from the get go,
Hmm.
but you still didn't feel like you're prepared for a lot of the offerings until this opportunity came. And what was it without? I think we can talk about the film without giving it away, right?
Yeah, I think.
So, I so what would you say? What really inspired you to finally like? I can submit this, what happened in 2020 and that really inspired and helps you come up with this idea.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I like am a part of mentorship program, the Artistic Standard mentorship program. And when I was started to talk to my mentor, Brooks, who was also the director of the Divinity Streak, told him like I felt like I didn't have a community out in LA. Like that's what I wanted. That's what I felt like I needed. So I started that program in September, and in October we had a panel and a workshop with all of the mentees and mentors about like what is your artistic voice, like what do you want to show the world. And so I think all of that paired with this like opportunity showing up is like that's the only reason I submitted to it, because I felt like I knew what my artist voice was and I wanted to talk about basically escapism, because like that's what I felt like everything was so overwhelming and scary and I felt like the world was ending. So like what do you do if you can't survive this world? Do you like escape, in whatever way that means for you? So that, I mean, that motivated me to submit, and I guess it worked out. Yeah.
It definitely worked out. I totally relate to the whole escapism. I feel like, and I've talked about it in previous episodes, like once Trump got in, I was like, despair,
Yeah.
never ending despair,
Yeah.
anxiety, and especially as a Black person,
Hmm.
it's like it just felt so suffocating, like,
Absolutely.
so I definitely understand like the need for escape, and it's really cool that you were able to channel that feeling
Yeah.
instead of it, you know, blocking your creativity and paralyzing you. You were able to use that, that angst,
Hmm.
and channel it into like empowerment by making your film. And I think that's really admirable. And I'm grateful that you had a chance to do that because it's inspiring. For myself, I struggled. I definitely struggled during the
Yeah.
Trump regime,
Me too. Yeah.
because that's why I wasn't posting as much.
Hmm.
Just like it's just too heavy.
Yeah.
And as an artist and as a Black person, it's like you carry this weight. And it's not just during
Of
Trump,
course.
but it was just like he was a heightened,
Absolutely.
heightened awareness of the oppression of being a Black person. And you mentioned, finding your voice.
Hmm.
What do you, what would you describe your voice as? Also, do you feel like you represent any community or other people that you identify with?
Yeah. I mean, people always say like write for something you want to see, but I really always write for like a teenage version of myself, which is like not super long ago. I'm 26, but still, like, it's like really important for me to just be like, okay, well, what would I have needed to see when I was a young kid? What would have changed my perspective? Like, opened up my world, made me feel like there was like hope out there. And that's like very hard for, like a queer Black kid going to predominantly white schools and like high school and college as well. And just like finding that voice and like hope has always been like what I've been trying to do. So like as you were saying, like when Trump was president, everything felt so heavy, but I always and always have had writing. Even if I didn't know what I was doing, I thought I was gonna be like a novelist when I was a kid or something. It just comes naturally as a way of like, yeah, feeling good about myself and feeling good about the world. So that's always been my go to no matter what. And I'm happy I actually stuck to that because that's super important. It's gotten me through a lot.
That's awesome. So you kind of see yourself as like a hopeful queer person, right?
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
yeah.
Hmm.
Do you feel like growing up as being like you said, being marginalized most of the time in your community? And do you feel like you have seen reason to be hopeful as far as in your journey so
Hmm.
far from teenage to now? Do you feel like you're seeing progress that makes you feel like yes, things are, going in a direction that is really motivating and encouraging for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people tend to look at, high political power as like a sign of progress in general. And I don't really like look at that or care about that because those systems are outdated. So like, why do I care? But there's so much like grassroots things that people are doing, whether it's like actual like activism, but also just like creative endeavors and support for like community. That that's what's important. That's where I always see hope. There's always been hope because people have been working so hard for so many years, and it always gets, well, for the most part, it gets overshadowed. But I think that that's the most important stuff. Like, so yeah, I do think there's hope out there. Sorry, my cat is trying to get into the room. I do think there's always hope out there, even if it's not in like, big media stage or big political theater. Essentially, there is for sure.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm an optimist myself, so even when things are bad, it's like, what else can we do? But you have hope, and like you said, the sense of being able to create something, some escapism, because again, you're looking for something to give you some clarity or peace, progress. I thought it was really interesting your film because you can see these influences, and I feel like this film like encompasses your voice, where you're coming from, all these themes. One of the things I thought was interesting is, you brought the activism aspect to the story. But my question is, you could have escaped anywhere. Why did you choose to go, to Mars? Like, why was it leave the planet? What was it? Was there something symbolic about that process?
I think space is cool. Just let's start there. Space is cool, but part of it was like there's so much like pain involved in being an activist. There's so much like emotional labor that goes into it. It's scary, like you lose your sense of self because you're like caring so much for other people, which is a good thing for the most part. But last summer, essentially, there were so many protests, so much like violence that's been, displayed in such like horrific and scary ways, of course, like this. And so I felt like, I mean, for me, it did feel hopeful and hopeless at the same time. And I just felt like it's so hard to want to like to fix the world and like to somehow fix these systems that just feel like they're just stuck and unmovable. But out there in a different world, whether it's Mars or something you can create yourself, there is hope there to like start anew, essentially. And that's not like a colonial view, in my opinion, and that's what I not what I was suggesting in the story. But it's like I'm trying not to give away the ending, but uh, but there's something out there that you could create that is all your own, which Black people have never been able to have something that is totally there. So that's what I was going for in the story.
So, are you a science fiction nerd? Are you into that genre?
Yeah, it's funny actually because some people have said like, okay, like how does Blackness fit into sci-fi? And I'm in my mind, this isn't a sci-fi film at all. It's a drama. It's an action drama. And the reason why I say that is because the story itself, like, why can't it happen? It's not otherworldly in the traditional, I guess, sense, but um, it's just this could totally happen. However, I do love science fiction and fantasy, and like my like most of my creative endeavors involve like reimagining history and like I guess weird and strange ways. Like that's what I love to write about. That's what I enjoy because so much history is lost, um, destroyed.
That's destroyed. That's true. So, do you okay? So, you feel like you reimagine history to fill in the gaps because of the
Hmm.
narrative is not usually told by people like us, marginalized black and brown people.
Right.
It's usually told by white people,
Yeah.
right?
Basically.
So, when
Yeah.
you see, I wonder, it's funny because we call it history when it's maybe, and I'm just being weird or abstract,
Hmm.
but I feel like we call things history, right? But then we're like, okay, now that we're more informed, we're like, wait, because was
Hmm.
that whitewashed history? Like, is whitewashed history? reimagine history as well?
It is. It's for them, basically. And when I say them, like I mean white people. And so like, yeah, you're right. Our histories are like I'm calling it reimagined, but it could totally be exactly what happened. We have no idea because it hasn't been recorded. So
So history is subjective, unless you have like correlated dates and things. Most of what we call history, or what we assume history, or as it's told, is reimagined history. So I'm
yeah,
just kind of thinking about like, yeah, I wouldn't call it fantasy, or it's all fantasy,
yeah,
and that's interesting. Automatically I thought this was a sci-fi film because that's how it was presented in my mind with the way the film was marketed, and with us watching them leave the planet. But you're right, like that could happen, that
yeah,
just because it involves space, like science fiction, and it's weird. Now that I think about it, like, why did I think it was science fiction? Like, it's just like, I guess once someone plants that idea, they're like, oh, it's sci fi. And your mind is like, you're right, that's sci fi.
exactly. Yeah, and I don't want to ever be like limiting our world are like the things that like we can do. And however, the set that we were on was very sci-fi-ish. So in that sense, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, which was super cool. That was super cool, you guys. We got to,
It was
yeah, we
really
got
awesome.
to. I worked in props, so I got to, like, put together, like, the space shuttle and all that stuff. That was really cool. Behind the scenes video, I'll post it at the end of the show, but I posted on Instagram with, like, pictures because I was geeking out the whole time. Because I'm, like, a Star Trek, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica fan.
I love it.
But I'm assuming, and this is assumptive, but Octavia Butler, like, are you a fan? Because you
Yeah.
mentioned, reimagining history, and it made me think of Kindred. Have you read Kindred?
Yes.
So, do you feel like Octavia Butler has been a major influence
Yes.
on your work?
Octavia Butler, Toni Morrison, Gloria Naylor, and James Baldwin are my top writers ever. Even when people are like, "Who's your favorite writer?" I think they're expecting like me to say a screenwriter, but it's always going to be Toni Morrison as my top writer, just because of the way they construct their stories is really beautiful and just genius. But also because the way they create their worlds, like that's what I want to do. I want to create like cool, unique, strange worlds, all black worlds as well. That's like really cool and a great way to talk about race that people don't seem to like want to do. But yes, I love all those writers.
Nice, me too. I'm a big fan. I don't know one of the names though. You said Toni Morrison, Octavia Butler, and you said James Baldwin, and the last one,
Gloria
Gloria
Naylor,
Naylor. What would be a book you would recommend from
yes.
each one of those that you think are your favorite one?
Kindred, Octavia Butler, good call on that. Toni Morrison's gonna be hard, but I will say I mean all of them, but Paradise. I wrote my like college senior thesis on it. It's a rarely talked about book of hers, but it's just incredible. James Baldwin, maybe it's like some of his essays actually. Stranger in the Village, I would suggest because it's great to think about now and today's world and to understand like where he was coming from as well. And Gloria Naylor, I would suggest Mama Day because that was the first book I read by her, and it's really cool and takes place on like a really unique island basically with awesome cool characters and magic. So I love that. Yeah,
Okay, thank you. I I haven't read a good book in a while, so I'm definitely gonna check
yeah.
out that last one because I'm like, I need something good. That sounds really good, and I wonder. Um, I lost my train of thought. What was
No problem.
that part? You mentioned being, queer. Do you feel like a lot of your work is reflected in your full
Yeah,
identity?
I try to. in whatever way I can. I guess in a sense, like a lot of people talk about like queering certain genres. So if people view this as sci-fi, then I guess I'm queering sci-fi. But like it's always going to be in the story because I wrote it, and so like the emotions that characters are feeling, no matter how much they aren't, based on me or based on people I know, I'm still going to put my perspective into characters in the worlds I create, whether or not the character is like out and queer. In this short film, I'm already like over here writing a feature version of it because why not? And like, I mean, kind of how could you not with it, because it feels like the story, at least for me, there's so much left to say about the characters as well, including like their identities as like whole people and not just as activists. But yeah, so I always try to do that, of course, to push myself in the characters and to just be myself, basically.
That's awesome. I appreciate that because I feel like that is
Hmm.
who what an artist wants to do. Like I can't speak for all artists, but I feel like it's like a compulsion. You're like, I
Right.
have to get my perspective out. Like you have to get your voice out, and what you're trying to create,
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like certain people in like Hollywood, I guess, whatever that means to you, they want to say like we're trying to create like universal stories, and I hate that term so much, because what they mean is stories that like white people can accept and support. Basically, like let's be real. So like I also what I try to do, like I don't want to create a universal story. I'm not writing the story particularly for like white people to enjoy. It's not about that at all. So that is for sure like something else I value and like want to do with my art always. So.
It's interesting you say that because it's like when I saw The Godfather, I wouldn't say that was a universal story. Like
Mhm.
Scarface, all these like very like lifestyle films.
Yeah,
They're not universal stories. So it's like you are speaking in code
yeah, yeah. It's like
for
I know what you
you.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Aladdin's not a universal story. Like all these stories are not
yeah.
universal. They're very unique
Hmm.
perspectives.
Yeah.
So, you know, stop it. Stop the censoring. There's
Yeah.
so much room in the world, and white people are strong. Like they can handle diversity. We don't
And
have
if
to baby them.
exactly, and if they can't, then like okay, that's
Then
fine.
watch
I'm not
something
watch
else.
something else. There's a million things for you to watch. There's like
Right.
10 things for me to watch,
There's so
or
much
whatever.
you can watch. And like films by non-white artists are not like niche. They're not
They're
all
not.
like very small niche films that no one would want to like see. I mean, it's outdated, but it's also just straight up racist. I think
Hmm.
it's
Yep.
just simple. Like, okay, there's people my age who are making these decisions now. Like, come on, you know what you
I know. Oh God, it
it's
drives.
like you know what you're doing.
I know. I
you
know.
know? It's just funny. And speaking of which, do you feel like there were some things in your film that if you had more say more creative control and unlimited budget
Hmm.
that you would have kept in or added to the film?
Yeah, that is a hard question. Basically everything that I wrote made it into the film except the opening. And that was not anyone's, no one could have controlled that. It was basically a weather thing. It was going to be a car drive like down an open highway, basically. So we were going to get some of the opening dialogue in the car as they were driving. So that is not, anything anyone had, control over or like something I was like so upset about. But it could have been, a cool shot. But it was just very windy that day, basically. But yeah, honestly, if it was like create a short film with this length, and even if I had $1 million to do it, I don't think much would have changed at all. I think everyone did like really great stuff, and Gina, of course, did a great job. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I mean, I really loved it. Yeah,
I really loved it too. I really loved it too, but I always wonder, like, when you're the writer and you see it all come together, you're like, I would have like included that or done that. Um, and I did notice something that was missing, or maybe I need to watch it again. But I did do the props, and I was like, where are my signs?
oh,
I'm gonna have to
hmm.
rewatch it because I was like, I didn't see. Maybe it was so quick.
I think I think Edward walks past them, maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
So
rewatch
watch
it
that.
for
We'll
that. I'm
see.
like, where are the signs?
That's true. You would probably know more
Because
about what little details could be missing. Oh, I do actually. I have one thing, and it's
yes.
that when. Oh gosh. Okay. How do I not give it away? A room would be shaking at some point, let's say. And that part was kind of cut out. We had cool like visuals for that moment, but it just didn't fit, and that's okay. It wasn't like end of the world, but it was cool to watch them create that moment. So
Oh, and so I hate that when you just can't, it doesn't work.
yeah, it just
And
didn't fit.
and that's what's funny about the filmmaking process, which we got to both see for the first
Yeah.
time, is like you have the concept,
Hmm.
you think it's gonna do it, but it's like you're doing your best, and then you hope it all fits together.
Exactly. It's like
You know?
I really got to see like so many different levels for the first time. And again, like when I pitched this, I thought there was absolutely no way it was gonna happen. Like I was like, okay, I don't even know how much money they're giving us, but it's just not realistic, basically. So then like coming into like the drafts, even then I was like, okay, but how we're gonna get a space shuttle? Like I don't really know how that is possible. Like you're acting like this is gonna be
Right.
like chill, but so I really,
Like
yeah, I
nothing.
was like, okay, like I guess it's gonna work. But yeah, the whole time I was just like, that's what I was nervous about. Just like, is it possible to actually get this story told, even in like its barest form? I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but it came together.
And shoestring budget. I don't know how much it costs, but it was
$25,000.
really cool. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that seems like a lot of money, right?
it seems like a
To
lot,
me.
but it's not. It's not. Um,
You know, it seems like a lot of money, but no. Well, and also what was cool because I didn't know like what how cool it would be to be in the art department to see like okay we got to make this prop from nothing
yeah.
with no budget. I was like, oh, it was just cool to see that all these creative people who are so into films and story
Hmm.
making, we're all into it no matter what it costs,
Yeah.
and it was just cool. Like we're like, oh, we need another backpack. Who has a backpack?
Yeah.
And people bringing in their own
Hmm.
belongings. Like oh, like one is not in this one, but the other film I was
Hmm.
on, like they're like, oh, we need a backpack, so they pulled my backpack and put a black like tape over
Yeah.
it. Like oh, we need another extra, so they pulled Gino in,
Hmm.
and it's just
Yeah.
like it was just cool to see the indie film process.
It was really cool, and just like so, I mean, everyone called in favors basically. Like most of the like
Yes,
production crew, like Leah, love you, Leah. Like
she's so awesome. I
she's
love
really
Leah too.
awesome.
She's so great.
But like it was so many favors that they like pulled in, like Orbital Studios. That was like a big favor. The stunt guys, like Mark pulled them in. I mean, I just like, and it was really cool for me, especially because like I didn't know Leah before this, before like a week before, or two, I don't
Right.
even know how, a few weeks before we're like filming. So for them to like, put their relationships essentially like on the line for someone they don't know for like a project that they obviously like believed in, that was really awesome. Like that obviously that feels good. Like yeah, like I have a cool story that people want to work on. So that was very cool for me.
Yeah, everyone was really excited to work on it. It was really special and it was magical. It was my best, a great introduction to the film world,
Yeah,
you know, like cool story, cool cast, like everyone just all creatives just totally into it. I was like, everybody's like, not every set's like
yeah,
this. I'm like, I
yeah.
know. This was like a magical
It's
experience,
true. Like, not every set is like that, but, we could try to make every set like that or like try to, support each other and create safe spaces. Like, that's what I want to do. So, like,
Exactly.
hopefully that's that's in our future to like be able to actually do that. Like, then, because if not, like, what's the point? I don't want to be on a set where people are like angry or like, you know,
Right. Like, what are we
yeah,
here
yeah, like
for?
ultimately, like, yeah, I want everyone to like be excited about the project, but like respect everyone. That's what I would want for myself and for everyone involved. So I think that's like the most important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Do you see yourself venturing into directing or continuing to focus on writing?
Funny question you asked there, because I just talked to Gino about this yesterday. Yeah, I want to direct. I think my next short film, which is going to be hopefully a part of the ASTV mentorship program, I want to direct my short. So we'll see how that goes. I'm obviously nervous about it, but I do really think that I want to be like, yeah, in the director's chair. Like, let's see let's see how I do. Let's see if I can get the same things across while also doing like all the logistical things. Like, I'd rather push myself now and like try.
Right. And just see what you can do
Yeah, exactly.
creatively. Have more
Hmm.
creative control. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about the artistic standard mentorship program from your perspective?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a mentee and I have been in the program since September 2020. Wow. That's a long time. Yeah, that's like, wow, I didn't even like realize that until I said that. But so it's an incredible program. Like, that's all I can say for starters. I learned so much. Each month we essentially had panels and workshops on like artistry, screenwriting, directing, producing, everything, just to get, a lot of us haven't done all of those things. Some of us have worked in different areas or are actors, producers, writers, but it's kind of a like holistic approach to creative endeavors. And of course, our mentors are great. We each mentee is paired with a mentor. My mentor is Gina Brooks, and so we worked through the whole year to like learn all these things, but also figure out what we want to do ourselves. Like, where do we see ourselves, and how can they help make that happen, basically. And so now we're sort of in the second part of the program, which is doing a short film thesis sort of thing. And so each mentee is creating a short film. We're in the writing stage, drafting stage right now. Um, so yeah, it's a really great program, and I've learned a ridiculous amount and can't even believe it really, because it felt like essentially going to being in a college course. Basically, we had homework weekly, deadlines, all of that to help get us prepared for what it's actually like in in filmmaking, whether it's Hollywood, independent, whatever.
Sounds like an amazing opportunity. I'm considering it, but I'm like, I don't think I'm ready. I've never written anything,
You
but
okay?
you start somewhere.
You start somewhere. Some people haven't ever written a screenplay before who are in the program as well, and like I think even like I said before, like I didn't feel like I was ready to like apply for any fellowships and all this stuff, but I just did. So don't see why not. Like, might as well try.
Yeah, just do it. Just try
Yeah,
it. You have nothing to lose. You
exactly.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you guys just try things. That's what I feel like no matter who I talk to, that's what everyone always ends up telling me. I had doubts, I had fears, I had worries,
yep,
and I just did it.
yep,
That's always what it is. Like you're your biggest roadblock, usually.
exactly. And
You know.
like over the years that I've actually been out in LA, like I've tried for a lot of stuff and have not gotten word back on like most of it, or like gotten rejected from so many competitions and just felt like, wow, okay, like is this working? Like, is this what I need to be doing? But yeah, I just basically kept at it. And luckily, I that's like a privilege as well. Like not everyone can just like keep at it and like have the time and energy to do it. But I'm really like lucky and thankful that I was able to.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy about that too. I'm so happy to have met you, and I look forward to like working with you more like in the future, and maybe even be on set again with you. That would be
Yes,
cool. You
yes,
know.
absolutely. That would be cool.
That would be super cool. I'll be an extra. I'll be a PA. I'll be whatever, you know.
You can make some props, or like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like,
Oh well, I don't. Yeah. The props was fun, but I'm not gonna lie, like it took me way too long to make those signs because my handwriting. Or
uh,
like, could you redo them? Can you make them thicker?
yeah, I would be so bad at that.
I was
I'm like really bad at like hanging things up or just like being neat in general. I'm
oh
terrible at it.
yeah.
So that's not really the job for me.
Speaking of which, I hung up some like one of the shots to go down the hallway, and I hung up like some of the pictures.
Hmm.
Why did I tear the paint off the walls? That was like the very first thing I did
Hmm.
was put a picture frame up cricket, because
Hmm.
I'm not the person
To
to
do
do
that.
this. Like at home,
Yeah.
someone else
Hmm.
like centers the frames.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys want me to do this? Okay. I put it up, and then Gino was like, that looks cricket. But I didn't think about how it was like already attached,
Oh.
like with the sticky
Hmm.
stuff on the
Yeah.
wall. And we were told that this sticky stuff would not take the paint off the wall, but it did.
Mm.
And so by the end of the day, when we took all the pictures off, we had stripped all the paint all the way
Oh my
down
God.
that
I
hall.
didn't even know that.
I know. I know. Leah was so like, but I guess people
That's
get
so,
insurance for
yeah,
films.
they do. That's very
so,
important.
so I was like, and it wasn't my fault. I was told to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I did
like,
not know that.
I'm like, I'll be the props person, but if you have something else for me, I don't mind doing
Yeah. See, I can't. That's too much stress for me. Like, I would hang it up crooked, just be like ripping all the paint off.
that.
I don't even know. But yeah.
I broke something. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, I did. I broke Leah's. I'm all confessing.
yeah.
There was one of the pictures.
Oh, yeah. Like better dad better.
I leaned on it. I was putting it on the
Yeah.
wall, and you're supposed to put your pressure on the frame.
Mm,
I don't know why I put the pressure on the
glass.
glass, and
Oh.
I
Mm.
yes, and it was like her dad's like memorabilia that she had loaned for the
Oh,
film. I didn't ruin the picture
that's
behind
good.
it,
That's
but it was
that's
just
pretty
like
important.
it was still like I was like take these pictures away. I don't want to be responsible for any of this.
It's like that's so funny. I mean, that's not
but
funny, obviously, but like it was a pretty small set, and I had no idea that that even like happened. So wow,
yeah, because we kept it on the down low. We didn't want to make anyone upset. Like get the whole thing
yeah,
done, and then we told her at the end, like,
that's
and
good.
then she was like, but she handled it. She has really good nerves of steel, good
Yeah,
composure. So
that's why
she
I
was
could not
cool.
be a producer.
And in that,
Not the job for me at all, at all.
exactly. But it was cool. I loved it. I loved it. I definitely could see myself producing or been doing the acting thing. So maybe I'll get like
Yeah.
I'll be extra, or I can be one of the register ladies. Hey, wherever you need, I'll do
All right, I'll keep you in mind for it.
it. Thank you. I think I'm pitching
Yeah, you
myself,
are.
so it's been documented. Well, I always do this thing. Wait. Before I do that, is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? Anything you want to pitch? Anything that you're excited about?
Hmm.
In addition to
Of course.
Divinity Streak, or tell me more if I didn't ask you something that you wanted to talk about.
Hmm. Great question.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always
Hmm.
working on things, of course, and like my sort of most recent-ish project is a pilot with my buddy Jessie Greer. She's an actress and also has a production company. She's one of the execs over there at Rising Antidote Production, and it's called Cross Creek. And we're just like it's moving in like a cool way. I can't really, I guess, talk about it actually that much, but it's been really
But you're
fun. And
excited.
like I think the best part about it is also some of the things that Jessie taught me over the course of, I mean, a year and a half of us writing this, which is just like vulnerability is so important. And like, especially if you know, have a writing partner, you have to be very open because it's sort of an autobiographical look at her life and like
Mm.
something, the program that she was put into when she was a teenager. So yeah, I mean, I think that's exciting in so many different ways, but it also just like taught me to be like so open and vulnerable with other people, which has been a process for sure. But yeah, so that's kind of what's brewing, I guess, and we'll
All
see what
right.
happens with it. But I have high hopes for it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, well, if it comes out and we can see it, definitely come back on the show so we can like
of course,
promote it and be
of
celebrate it.
course, yeah.
That would be dope. Hey. So there's this thing I do for the show. Like I like to pick a song, or I like my
Hmm.
guests to pick a song that like represents themselves or a theme of just a song that you want to play in your episode.
Oh,
Like maybe your favorite song or just whatever that comes to mind.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess in that sense, like the thing that when I write, I listen to music, even music with words. I don't know how I can do that, but I do. But the
I do
there's a
too.
song called Eclipse by Radical Face, and I listened to that a lot when I was writing the Divinity Streak. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Yes. Eclipse by
hmm,
Radical Face. All right. I can't wait to hear it. It's going to
yeah,
be a surprise for me. All right. Cool. I'll do that. Awesome. And then there's another thing. So I like to do like I'm inspired by I
hmm,
love radio. Okay, all different
yeah,
genres of radio, and I'm inspired also by like hip hop shows when they'd be like, they would have a
yeah,
guest do the promo for the next episode, like, "Hey, this is Stephany from blah blah
yeah.
blah blah blah. You're listening to the Dope Science Show." So can you do that? This is Jess Waters, and I'm excited. Or check out Divinity Streak, or listen to me talk about Divinity Streak on the
All
Dope
right,
Science Show,
cool.
like a little
All
intro. And you can take as many takes as
right.
if you want.
There might be a few, but this is Jess Waters. Check out the Divinity Streak on Netflix Film Club. This is a dope science show.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great. That's awesome.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. So I think, what do we do now? I think I'm going to
I won't hang
say
up.
goodbye, but don't
I'll
hang up.
pick up my cat because she's being
Yes.
annoying right now.
Okay. Yes. Let's
This
meet
is
your
one of my
cat.
cats. This is Nadia. She's
Hello.
sleepy. She's so sleepy.
Oh,
She's so mad.
oh, is she
Um,
sweet?
I just
Oh,
woke her
she's
up,
mad.
but they're both very sweet. She's a little bit more like she runs the house basically. I gotta say, like she runs it. She's the boss.
She's the boss. She's
Yeah,
the
and
lion.
so like she'll cuddle when she wants to cuddle, but if she's not cuddling, like just like leave her alone. Like she's chilling. I don't know where my son is. Are we done recording? I'm gonna get up and grab him. Is that okay?
Aw. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We can use any of this stuff. Oh,
Oh, you're
sorry.
still
I'm
recording?
recording. Yeah, but it's okay. I want to be informal. I'm not a
That's good.
formal
I
show.
can't find my cat. He's like under the bed, maybe. I don't know. He's very
That's
cute
okay.
though. He is like very cuddly.
Speak.
Yeah.
Aw, that's sweet. I when you got up, it made me want to know
Oh,
about the records
um,
behind you.
yeah. So there's only four up here right now. Queen, Light at the Rainbow, 1974. Nadia's stealing my seat right now. This is Brittany Howard, Jamie. Great album. Like, have you ever heard of Alabama Shakes?
No. Oh, Alabama Shakes.
Hmm.
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Mhm.
she's the lead now. You know, now she's like independent.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so that is a really incredible album. If
What's
you,
the album name
uh,
again?
it's called Jamie.
Jamie's. Okay. Self-titled.
Hmm. Yes. Well, it's named after her sister,
Oh.
who I believe passed away when she was very young. This is Prince, When Doves Cry, and this is Tegan and Sarah, and this is like a live concert recording album, which is really cool. I guess these are both live concerts, but um, I went to one of these concerts. Oh, I'm gonna pick up my cat again because she's totally stole my seat.
Yeah.
Oh my god, she's acting like can't move. Oh,
You,
so dramatic.
so you're like a big
Maybe she should be an actor.
yeah, probably. So you're a big music nerd too? Like you're really into
A
music?
little bit. I mean, I've always been into like not always. That's not really, but since I was like in high school, my mom had like a record player, and she had like Michael Jackson's Thriller and like Fiddler on the Roof or something. Those are like
Oh.
the two albums that she like still had. So it's like, oh, like that's cool. Like maybe I'll start like collecting albums. Like why not? Like cool.
Right.
So I've been basically collecting since I was like I don't know 15
Oh
or something.
wow, really? So you have
Yeah,
like
and
crates?
I have probably like 50 albums here in LA and then like 50 at home
Wow,
basically
that's a
because I
lot.
couldn't like when I moved out here I couldn't take them all, but yeah, so for the most part I get like lots of them are gifts also because I'm like for my birthday like people are like what do you want? An album. Like just do that, like I'm cool with that. um
Yeah.
but yeah, I like I love music.
That's
I mean, who
awesome.
doesn't, I guess.
And do you do it for the sound or do you like the covers or is it just the whole thing?
I think it's the whole thing. I mean, definitely the sound is like unique as opposed to like listening to it on like Spotify or Apple or whatever you listen to. So like the sound is slightly different on a record player, but it's fun and enjoyable. My record player is pretty. I got it as like a gift from my mom when I was in high school too. But yeah, obviously you can see like some of like aesthetically they're cool, and like different colors sometimes or like limited releases of certain albums. Some like waiting until they come out so I can like hurry up and order them. Like,
That's dope.
uh, yeah,
That's really cool. I always
it's
wanted to be a
fun.
record collector. Eventually will be. I like
Why
vintage
not?
things. I think some things don't need to expire. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
we listen to digital music, but that doesn't mean record players should never exist. You know, like
Yeah,
they're artifacts. They're cool.
exactly. And like, I mean, most of them like now today anyway, you could like plug in your phone to them and listen. So,
Oh.
um, like
Definitely.
mine has like a cassette player. You can plug in your like aux cord and all that stuff. But like it's so much fun. Like going to a record store is fun for me. My mom would always like drag me to like Goodwills and stuff when I was a kid and just like shopping for clothes all the time. Like I was just like I don't like I don't care what I'm wearing. But I would just go and be like, well, there's like records over here. So like let me look and see. And like you kind of never know. It's
You're
like
right.
it's like the same feeling of Goodwill, but like for albums. So it's like fun to like
That's
go to
awesome.
different places and check it out.
And you were saying that you listened to music a lot while you were writing. So music is a part of like your writing process.
Yeah, definitely. And it's usually not like I create a certain playlist or something. I know a lot of people who like create the sound of the world they're creating or like the world they're diving into. But sometimes I'll just like hear a song, but oh, like I just want to listen to this now. It's just like is how I'm feeling, how the story's feeling, and that kind of happens. So there have been like plenty of for Divinity Streak. There were a lot of songs that like did that, but so yeah, Eclipse and like Space Woman by the Breeders.
Oh, let
Space
me
Woman,
put it
like
on there.
oh
Space. Because you know what would be cool if you had like a playlist for Divinity Streak?
Oh, that's true.
Like you can
Um,
put on Spotify. Or if you send it to me,
yeah.
I can make a playlist and put on Spotify when I release the episode.
Oh, okay. I'll send over like a few of the songs I listen to. Um, but yeah, lots of space things like and sad. I listen to just like sad songs, like so there's that too.
Sad songs are so moody. You know,
Yeah.
like I love to listen to. Sometimes I really love sad songs. I sing with them. I'm like, just crooning with them. Or
Hmm.
I grew to love the blues like the older I
Mm,
got.
yeah.
You know, just for that. I guess. Why do you like sad songs? Like, what does it do for your mood?
It just, I mean, it just makes me
Does it make
which
you
is not
sad?
okay.
It
Yes, but like, and not in a like,
does.
not in like a really like, I guess, negative way. Really, like, yeah, like you said, like I get like I feel the mood of the music, and because most of the things I'm writing are like more intense things, it just like it just works for me. Um,
Mhm.
it just makes me think of like, oh, this song would be so good in this scene or like this episode or whatever. So like a lot of it is just that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes me feel sad, but in a good kind of way.
In a good way. It's
Yeah.
weird. I know what you mean. Like, I don't know what it is why some people like sad songs. I don't like them all the time, but I think I
Yeah, yeah.
like that they touch something in me as far as like soul or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
If you do like blues slash jazzy things, speaking of like the books that I recommended, if you haven't read Sonny's Blues by James Baldwin, it's a short story. My like in college we had to do a senior thesis on like if you're an English major, typically like a book. Your junior year, you also had to do like a junior thesis version, which was on like 30 pages or something. So I talked about Sonny's Blues and then Jazz by Toni Morrison and like talked about music and writing and so many different things, I guess. But both of those, but particularly Jazz, I can't even explain it. Like I don't have the words for it anymore because I wrote it so long ago. But like in general, Toni Morrison has like a lyrical way of writing, basically. But like this is like a musical way of writing, I guess. If you, it's hard to
Mhm.
sort of
Mhm.
explain unless you read it. But if you like,
Oh, I see. Like
yeah,
with the rhythm, like
yeah,
there's some rhythm and pacing to it that you can feel.
yeah, it's very specific to like that
Hmm.
particular text, of course, because like she's talking about jazz
Hmm.
and like music,
Right.
but also intense trauma as she does. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you want to ever want to check those out or like listen to music while reading them. I guess it would work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's some great. And I'll include this stuff in the show.
All
So
right.
thank you, Jess. It was so great having you on the show. You guys check out the Divinity Streak on Netflix and their film club channel. Share it with your friends. I'll put the link in there. You'll enjoy it. Check out the other films. And that channel will also be releasing short films from other Black creators. But yes, thank you so much, Jess. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And we'll catch up later and maybe I'll work on something else with you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yay!